Buddy, put that thing back in its holster. We haven't gone anywhere.
I don't understand.
Check out the MichaelDukesShow.com for information on how to get access to the podcast.
The Michael Dukes Show.
I have 2 guns, one for each of you.
Firearms Friday.
As Thomas Jefferson stated, it is the right and duty of the people to be at all times armed.
Say hello to my little friend.
I say that the Second Amendment is, in order of importance, the First Amendment. The right to keep and bear arms is the one right that allows rights to exist at all.
The Michael Dukes Show. The right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Firearms.
From my cold, dead hands.
Friday.
It's my rifle, this is my gun, this is for riding, it's for fun.
Firearms Friday.
Oh, baby. Firearms Friday. Your chance to sound off on issues of a 2A nature. You know what it's about. It's about guns, baby. Guns, firearms, Second Amendment rights, gun laws, freedom, liberty, good-looking intellectual sexiness. That's what it's about. Wow, that was conceited, wasn't it? Welcome to Friday. Good morning, Americans. It's Friday. Stand by for guns. That's what it's all about. That is what it's all about here this morning. It's the one day a week that we get a chance to dedicate the, majority of the show to the Second Amendment, to the rules about guns and laws, how it's interspersed and woven into the DNA of America. We talk about it. We try to demystify the firearm. We try to find those people out there. Hopefully somebody's listening today who stumbled across the show and is like, what is this guy talking about? Well, we're talking about firearms. And if that makes you pucker up a little bit, stick around, because we're going to try and demystify it for you. We're going to try and counteract the mainstream narrative from the news media and the talking heads who have absolutely no freaking clue when it comes to guns, gun laws, historical analogs about guns, the history of America, so it's a thing. It is a thing. That's what we're trying to do, and that's what Firearms Friday is all about. We share all the news from around the country and today around the world with what's going on, and we want to see what's happening. We want to give you all the information you need so that when you move forward in this world and you're faced with some kind of lie or misinformation or deceit or just outright stupidity from some talking head on some news network, whether it's Fox News or CNN or OAN or WorldNet Daily. I've seen stupid stuff from people on every news media outlet, be they labeled as conservative, liberal, anything in between. There is a severe amount of stupidity in this world when it comes to firearms knowledge, and we're here to counteract it all. Taking on a big job, but we're going to do it. We're going to do it. That's what we're going to try to do today. Coming up on the program in hour 2, we will be joined by TopShot Chris Cheng, who is, of course, the winner, the ruler, the superior being in season 4 of the History Channel show Top Shot. He became zero to hero. He went from nobody, just some guy working at a software company who went up against former Navy SEALs and Marine recon and law enforcement, shooters to win out of the blue Top Shot. And he's written a book called Shoot to Win, and he's become a spokesperson for the National Shooting Sports Foundation. He's the founder of the Asian American Pacific Gun Owners Association. He's working with Walk the Talk America. This guy wears a lot of hats. And He's going to come on today with us to talk about the recent fundraiser that he helped put on with WTTA, the Walk the Talk America folks. And he's going to come on and tell us, give us the news as to how they did with this fundraiser. Remember, he was matching donations up to $5,000. I went out and donated. I saw Brian in the chat room went out and donated right before I did because I saw his name there. So I'm hoping a lot of you went over to Walk the Talk America and dropped $5 in the kitty. Helping out, trying to help out with Walk the Talk, which is a mental health organization dedicated to helping with gun owners who have got, mental health issues, and to try and work our side of the fence, so to speak, on this big issue out there. And so we're going to talk with Chris Cheng in talk about Chris Cheng in hour 2. We're going to talk with him in hour 2. Then we're going to finish up with Willie Waffle, wafflemovies.com. He's got some entertainment news. One story I'm really looking forward to. It may involve Nicolas Cage. We'll see. We'll see if we get to that story. I'm hoping we do. And more. Before we get into the firearms goodness, though, I want to throw this out there. Coming up in the Fairbanks area, not necessarily for you folks down on the peninsula, but this doesn't prohibit you from participating. Folks down on the peninsula, you can participate. Coming up at 8 a.m., actually 8:04, because somebody's got to use the restroom after the show's over. Coming up at 8:04 a.m. is going to be the Big Spring statewide radio auction. And we do that twice a year. We've done it here. We've talked about it. We get hundreds of items from vendors around the state. And we auction those items off at AlaskaRadioAuction.com. You can actually go to AlaskaRadioAuction.com right now, and you can look at all the items that will be available starting on the website at 8 a.m. And it's first come, first serve. And there are some smoking hot deals in there. In fact, there just might be, twirls his mustache and cackles evilly, there might actually even be some firearms in that auction if you go check it out. Maybe, possibly. You might want to go look at it. But we're talking about restaurants. There's some hotel stays in Anchorage, in Homer, in Seward. We got, canoe rides and paddle boats and fishing charters and septic system replacements and a bunch of steel tools. Steel, S-T-I-H-L, not iron and steel, but steel tools. There's just so much going on in the Alaska Radio Auction, and that's going to kick off live on KFAR in Fairbanks, plus a bunch of other stations in Fairbanks, on 2 stations in Anchorage, and everything else. But you'll be able to also live stream it, because I will be leaving my live stream on this morning, and you can listen to it live at michaeldukeshow.com if you want to, listen, because I'm going to be talking about all the big ticket items and everything else. And there are big ticket items, and there are buy it now items, and there's all kinds of stuff. It's going to be, it's the best way to get your summer set up. I mean, I've got a spreadsheet open on my desktop here that is just, what do we got? We got lodging at Bear Creek Winery. We got the Alaska Zoo. We've got a big package there. The Alaska Wildlife Conservation Center. There's a wood stove for sale down in Compos has got a boat. Dewey's Cook Inlet in Anchorage has a boat. We've got glass. We've got brand new septic systems. We've got cabins for lodging and meals and fishing charters and remote auto starts. I mean, these are just the big ticket items. There's a lot more. Guided hunts. I wish there were some guided hunts in there. That would have been amazing, but not this year. But there are some hunting and fishing cabins and stays in Valdez and Seward and Homer and Soldotna, Anchorage. They're pretty much everywhere. And restaurant certificates, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. AlaskaRadioAuction.com. Go there right now. Check it out. And it'll be amazing. It'll be amazing. That'll start at 8:04 a.m. Website goes live at 8. So be prepared. You can hit that refresh button and you'll be ready to go. So I got a busy morning this morning. 4 hours of radio, 4 hours of radio solid. It's going to be great stuff. All right, so that's the housekeeping. Let's get back to the important stuff, which is the gun discussion today. And I have got a slew of stories that you would not believe. Oh, man. And it all starts with our friend, the Muppet, President Joe Biden.
Put a pistol on a brace, it turns into a gun. Makes it more, you can have a higher caliber weapon, a higher caliber bullet coming out of that gun. It's essentially turning it into a short barrel rifle, which has been a weapon of choice by a number of mass shooters.
Yes, the man, the myth, the legend, Joe Biden. He goes out there. I mean, the guy doesn't know what he's saying half the time. So I'm really not surprised when he got up in front of a group of law enforcement and addressed the National Peace Officers Memorial Service at the Capitol this week on Wednesday. So this is a memorial for police officers who have lost their lives in the line of duty. I mean, it's a pretty somber moment. And in the remarks at the annual event, he highlighted how he just went out a couple of weeks ago to meet the families of the 4 fallen officers in Charlotte. Now, if you haven't been following this really didn't make the news. 4 police officers were killed. You'd think that this would be headline news for days. But no, it didn't, because the 4 officers were serving a suspect on a felon, and he ended up they ended up getting into a gunfight with this guy. And the suspect died and 4 police officers died. So that was part of this whole thing. So he's up there talking about that and how he spoke to them. And then he talked about the achievements that he's done in his administration to make sure that the cops, they get money for, to hire and retain police officers, to pay benefits and, the community policing. And then he gets into gun control. Which the historic steps taken to support you, to stop the flow of illegal guns, to hold gun traffickers accountable for crime. It matters a lot. Except he really hasn't done a single thing to stop the flow of illegal guns. What he has done is tried to push laws that would disarm law-abiding American citizens. I mean, that's really, it's not about illegal guns. He's trying to penalize people with legal guns. The illegal ones they're illegal for a reason. And he had the gall to take it to a memorial and get political, which is just, again, half the time he has no idea what he's talking about. Now, in fairness, the idea of tackling illegal guns is a tough thing to do for anybody. It's not like you can just pass, more laws and make the illegal trade more illegal. No black market gun guy is going to be, telling his fellow criminals, boy, I just can't sell you these guns anymore because, well, it was illegal before, but now it's extra illegal. Right? Okay. It just doesn't work that way. But he's at a memorial for fallen police officers and pushing this agenda. It's disturbing, and it is just blatant hackery by Joe Biden. And again, he was talking about the 4 officers shot and killed in Charlotte. This is a criminal, a felon, armed with an illegal firearm, shot and killed 4 law enforcement officers, despite all the laws: prohibited person, illegal to fire on police, illegal to shoot people, illegal to kill, illegal to... all these things that were already illegal. The rules, again, remember, he's a criminal. He's a criminal. The laws don't apply to criminals because they ignore them. So it's just insanity. Joe Biden, ladies and gentlemen, Joe Biden. Thank you. The Muppet in Chief has spoken, and he's doing everything he can to put legal guns behind bars. Oh, no, wait. Illegal. He's going to stop the flow of... He's going to do something. I don't know what it is, but it'll be impressive. He'll make it up the stairs without falling down. That will be impressive. All right, we got to go. The Michael Duke Show, common sense, liberty-based, free-thinking radio. We continue with more Firearms Friday right after this.
If you missed the show, you can listen to it on your time with Dukes On Demand. Oh, and it's free. Like America used to be. Streaming live every weekday morning on Facebook Live and MichaelDukesShow.com.
Okay. Hello, my friends. Hello. Chris Howard in the chat room. Want to say hi, Chris? Chris Howard from Australia. Do I owe you a... Oh, man, I owe you an invite, didn't I? I owed you... Sorry, Chris, I apologize. The last 2 weeks have been just huckledebuck. Can we, since you're on aboard, can we invite you on? And we're already through hour 1, and I've got guests in hour 2. Can we invite you on next week for Firearms Friday to talk about Australia, to give us an Australia update? I know that we've traded emails before, Chris, but if you would do me a favor and send me an email, it's right here. It's right here. Me at MichaelDukesShow.com. We'll work this out, and I'll get you on next Friday at 6:10 a.m. Alaska time, which would be 10 minutes ago. So whatever time it is in Australia, 10 minutes ago for next week. So and I apologize. I know that I said we were going to work something out, but man, it has been a total pooperate around here. Total pooperate. Send me an email though. And I'd love to talk with you. So the email's right there. And I'm sure you probably have it, and I probably have yours, but let's be sure. So send it on. Huckledebuck, that's Poshwa. Yeah, I know. It is what it is. It's the brown pants. That's what I'm wearing today. The brown pants. For a reason. All right. Well, great, Chris, and I appreciate it, my friend. It's good to hear from you again and see you out there. But yeah, guided bear hunts would be awesome if there were some guided hunts at all, not just bear hunts, but guided hunts at all. Veteran Party of Alaska said, got a finger in a table saw yesterday. So one finger typing. Oof. I hope you're not going to be one finger typing forever. Hopefully it didn't get too much of it. Them table saws. There should be table saw control. That's what there should be. There should be background checks and, 52 hours of training and a license to be able to use a table saw. That's what should happen. He got caught by one of those assault table saws. That's what happened. The assault table saw got him. Got one finger in a table saw. I think about that every time I turn my table saw on. I'm like, okay, I gotta, Are there such a thing as moose hunts, says Chris? Absolutely, Chris. Moose hunts, caribou hunts, Dall sheep, black bear, brown bear, grizzly bear. There's all kinds of hunts up here. We'll find something down in the Kodiak. You can get deer. Yeah, come on down. That's right. That's right. You laugh, says Brian, but there's talk about mandating stop saw. What is stop saw? I don't know what that is. Snipe hunting too. Yeah, Jeffrey, there's snipe hunting. I think that's legal in all 50 states, isn't it? Snipe hunting, I don't know what stop saw is, but I'm against it. I'm just against it. Hashtag get off my lawn. Just get off my lawn. They can't do that because they want control. How much control do they want? They want more. More control. That's how much they want. Get off my lawn. Okay. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, Greg. Yeah, I'm feeling my oats this morning. I'm feeling myself this morning. That sounded wrong, but you know what I mean. Feeling good today. Feeling good. I'm ready. More. Yeah, that's what I said. More. You have to make sure that I trademarked. You got to pay me a nickel every time you say that. More. See the trademark at the end. More. That's what they want. How much do they want? They want more. no matter what it is, control, money, servitude, obedience, more. All right. My dog is snoring under my... Then he'll get up and wander around and then come back in and oh, to be a dog must be a tough life. That's all I can say right now. Must be a tough life. All right, getting back into it. We got more stories to cover, and it's all coming up. Plus Chris Cheng. Let's do it. The Michael Duke Show. Common sense, liberty-based, free thinking radio. Like it. Have you shared yet? Why not? Do it now.
What the hell is an assault weapon? Does that mean that if we hurt your feelings, you should consider the Michael Dukes Show assault radio? Okay, we can accept that. Here's Michael Dukes. Kind of a dick, but somewhat funny.
I mean, he's not wrong. I could be a bit of a jerk. Is that the appropriate word? That's not what he said. I had to beep it, man. He's kind of mean-spirited sometimes. But somewhat funny. It's all good. It's all good. All right. Speaking of assault radio, one of our listeners in the chat room just told us that they, they're typing one-handed today because they got their finger caught in a table saw. And of course, my first reaction was assault table saw. We of course need to now mandate training, licensure, and background checks on table saws. This man got hurt. Or woman, I don't want to assume their gender. I apologize. This person, they got hurt. Table saw, assault table saw. I mean, it's everywhere. And I said that, and then Brian said, don't joke about it, because now they've got the potential, because now they're talking about saw stop, mandating something called saw stop, which is apparently something built into the saw that I don't even know. I mean, I'm sure that will only increase the cost of my table saw by, 25% to mandate that it goes into every piece of equipment out there. Just, I'm sure. Again, assault penguin, assault pencil, assault hammer, assault, table saw. It's all going to be whatever it is. We'll protect you from you. We'll protect you from you. Okay. I mean, let me point out why this show exists for Firearms Friday. We talked about it earlier. It's to, basically to stop the misinformation, to try and demystify the firearm and counteract the narrative that is put forward by so many in the news media that it just kind of makes you sick when you think about it. Scripps News Service had an article come up, and the headline caught my attention. And then Tom Knighton over at Bearing Arms talked about it as well. And I was just like, this is insanity. An article came up a couple days ago in Scripps, written by some gal named Jennifer Glenfield. I'm sorry, did I just assume her gender? Maybe. Jennifer Glenfield, who, by the way, interestingly enough, when you click on the name in the story, the author's name, where normally they take you to a bio page and they tell you about the author and the other articles that they've written, because I was interested to read what else this chick has read, again, assuming her gender. But, I read that, and you click on it, and it just goes to a blank page that says her name, which leads me to believe, is she even a real person? I mean, that's not a question that I'm asking lightly. That's a question in this day and age of AI and the Rolling Stones and all these other stories coming out where they've got fictitious journalists writing fictitious articles written by a computer. I mean, it's a real question, especially when you see the headline and then you read the story and you realize this is not really a news story. This is a piece of written propaganda. So, Scripps News Service. I'll post a link up to this in the chat room so that you can read it for yourself. Scripps, and by the way, Scripps is one of the kind of behind the scenes news services that, a lot of different news outlets pick up, and they run. Scripps is like the AP, the Associated Press. Scripps is doing the thing. So Scripps News Service. Here's the headline. Why are there fewer federal gun control laws today than before? What? Why are there fewer federal gun control laws today than before? Now, first of all, they're not really defining what the before is. But if you want to go back 55 years, there were, which is the 1968 Gun Control Act. I mean, we could talk about this, but why? That's the lead. That's the question that's going to catch people's eyes. Why are there fewer federal gun control laws today than before? The subheadline reads, for a half a century, presidential responses to gun violence have called for action, but those calls rarely result in gun control. Because we live in a republic. That's wwe A single person could call for something all they want, even somebody as powerful as the president. But just because somebody says we must do something doesn't mean that it should actually happen. Those calls for gun control have rarely resulted in gun control. Probably because they're stupid. So she goes on in this article. The premise, obviously, of the article is that there's fewer gun laws today than there were before. Now, she doesn't define the before. So was that last year? Was that 10 years ago? Was that 100 years ago? I can tell you 90 years, there's more gun laws than there were 90 years ago. The 1934 National Firearms Act is one of the biggest laws out there. Then the 1968 Gun Control Act. Then the 1986 Firearms Owners Protection Act. The FOPA under Reagan. Thank you, Ronnie. And then, of course, the Bipartisan Safer Communities Act, which is the more recent. I'm not even counting the assault weapons ban because it's sunsetted. But somehow her premise is there are fewer federal gun control laws than ever before. But even in her article, she goes through and she talks about it. 1934, the National Firearms Act. She talks about the Gun Control Act of 1968. She talks about the Violent Crime Control and Law Enforcement Act, which had a lot of parts in it, including the assault weapons ban, even though the assault weapons ban part expired. The rest of it's still in place. You've got the bipartisan, Safer Communities Act, which is the most recent one. You've got the Federal Extreme Risk Order Act of 2021, which, while not a federal law per se, enables a framework for federal law all the way through. You go through this whole story, and never once does she answer the question of, what. First of all, she never proves in the article that there are fewer federal gun control laws than before. In fact, she makes an argument for the fact that there are. She lines out like 6 or 7 pieces of federal gun control that have been enacted in the last 90 years. So exactly when and that, by the way, those are federal gun laws that are like the major framework. We're not talking about the thousands of other laws that are connected under Section 922 of U.S. Code, which is all the laws, whether it's, filling out or perjuring yourself on the 4473. It's about importing or exporting components of firearms, or, your inability to sell things overseas. It's about, what you do, whether or not you're a recreational marijuana user, whether or not whether or not the gun is a half an inch or a quarter of an inch too long or too short. I mean, there are so many laws that many people inadvertently, if you have a carbine kit for your pistol, which they are out there, there are kits that convert your carbine, there are kits that convert your pistol into a carbine, which is a short rifle. And if you have a carbine kit, maybe like a Thompson Center kit, or, I have one for my Glock, but if you assemble it in the wrong order, you can be a felon. Meaning if I put the stock on the pistol before I put the 16-inch barrel on the pistol, I've just created a felony. I've committed a felony because that's a short barrel rifle and it's not licensed. I'm not licensed to have a short barrel rifle. Right? So many laws out there. This is not really about journalism. And again, I can't find anything about this chick, Jennifer Glenfield. You click the Scripps link, and you know what I didn't do because I was out of time. She's a video journalist in South Florida. Okay, I'm sorry. That's her LinkedIn. Her LinkedIn says, I'm a video journalist based in South Florida. I enjoy the challenge of technical topics, the fast pace of politics, and the creative energy of philanthropy. Okay. All right, Jennifer. But so maybe she is a real person, although I don't know. I still don't know. But she goes on. And of course, the whole premise of the setup of this article is are there really fewer laws? She goes on to say, she asserts during the report, for most of American history, gun control laws weren't controversial. What? Claiming that, for example, the National Firearms Act didn't meet a lot of resistance. Well, first of all, remember in 1934, Democrats had a supermajority in the House and the Senate. I don't know if you remember that, but I do. I was back there in 1934. But they had a supermajority, and the NFA did go through major revisions. Why do I say that? Because in the first go-round, it included handguns. They would have treated handguns the way they treat machine guns and short-barreled rifles, meaning you would have to get a background check, fingerprints, pay a $200 tax. You got to remember, this law was enacted when a shotgun cost $5. The shotgun, under the U.S. v. Miller, which was one of the major cases that proved out the NFA, was a $5 Sears and Roebuck shotgun that had been chopped down to be shorter than 26 inches. $5. And they were going after him because he hadn't paid his $200 tax on his $5 shotgun. But remember, the NFA originally included all handguns, but it was controversial to do that, and they backed off of that. So don't tell me it wasn't controversial. I mean, it just doesn't, the whole thing is crazy. Look, it's not anything new to have some kind of anti-Second Amendment warrior beating their chest as a bastion of truth speak as a journalist. In fact, you could expect that the next few months will be nothing, because at the end of the article, she goes on to talk about how Biden has done this. He's mandated 20,000 previously unlicensed gun dealers get licensed. They're not unlicensed gun dealers. They were people who were just basically selling the occasional gun that they owned. But now they've mandated it so that those people are now at risk. That's the thing. He's criminalizing and federally trying to force licensure on private citizens for doing something we've done for years. He's pushing for stricter gun control laws. He's doing all this. And then she says former President Trump said in February that he would roll back every single Biden attack on gun owners. Like he's some kind of stalwart on gun ownership, okay? Again, Trump has got his own problems of, we'll take the guns and worry about due process later. He's the guy that banned bump stocks. I mean, he's got his own problems when it comes to the gun control question. But this chick is obviously just in the bag, trying to write up some screed in favor of the Muppet in Chief. That's what it's about. It's not about news report. I mean, she never answers the question. She never even backs up the question that is the headline of her story. Why are there fewer federal gun control laws today than before? Because they're not. That's a lie. My BS meter just got pegged. Right, Bert?
That was just BS.
I mean, yes, it was. But this is Scripps News Service. Again, this is very much like the AP. These are the stories that'll be picked up around the country. It's under politics and path to the White House, I noticed too, which is so she's in the bag for the bumbler. I mean, for the mumbler. She's in the bag for him, obviously. Oh, he's tried to get 20,000 more unlicensed. He's pushing for stricter gun control. He's already it's like they're not even hiding it anymore. And if you feel like I do that that's something that, is happening more and more, you're not alone. The Second Amendment Foundation says new polling conducted by McLaughlin and Associates found more than 70% of respondents are concerned about anti-gun bias in the media. I mean, we might not be able to get the media to play it straight, but at least we here on the program, other outlets can serve as some kind of counter to their biased reporting, outright falsehoods and masquerading things as, masquerading as news articles and journalism, maybe. All right, we got to go. I'm up against a break. By the way, phone lines are open in case I forgot to tell you. 319-527-3864. We've got one line on hold. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we will have more. I got a little wound up there. Sorry about that. I just get so agitated. These people passing off their biased opinions as journalism and look at themselves in the mirror and tell themselves how great they're doing. No, you suck. That's the problem. You suck at being a journalist. You're an activist. You're not a journalist. In fact, you're a hacktivist. You're a hack at it. You're not even a good activist. Wow. Damn, I'm a little salty this morning. Back with more of the Michael Duke Show, Common Sense Radio. And a phone call.
Your mental suppository. The Michael Duke Show.
Okay, I got a little salty there. I was just yeah. I mean, that's the thing. I just, damn. Anyway. Oh, it's so great. It's so great. All right, let me go back up here. Propaganda. Say it ain't so, Sally. Well, you know what's going on. Let's see here. All gun laws are unconstitutional, says Alaska Independence. And now if you sell a personal firearm and make $1 on it, you could be called an FFL dealer. I mean, yeah, last I heard, there were over 20,000 unconstitutional gun laws in the books. Now, I mean, that's the thing. There are something like 20,000 plus different regulations that pertain in some way to firearms. 20,000. How could you ever be aware of all of them? Even if you read through every one of them, how could you keep them all? How could you not inadvertently break the law at some point? I mean, it just, yeah. And he talking about the $200 tax on a $5 shotgun. They were trying to price firearms owner out of the ability to own them. Absolutely. That's what it was about. I mean, if you've ever seen the whole, just do the math. If it's a $5 shotgun, what's a good shotgun cost today? $500? I mean, that's a, middle of the road $500 shotgun. So that's a 10-fold increase, right? $5 to 10 foot. No, that'd be 50. So it's a 100-fold increase. So a $200 stamp, what would that be? $20,000. You buy a $500 shotgun, you got to pay a $20,000 tax to the government to do it. Okay, God. All right, let me go over to the phones. I've got somebody on hold, and let me see who it is. Good morning. Who's this? Where are you calling from?
Good morning, Michael. It's Fred. How you been?
Hello, my friend. How are you? I'm going to put you on hold here. We're going to talk to you right as we come off the commercial break back on the air, okay?
I'll be right here.
All right, you hang out there patiently. That's Fred in Rhode Island. Shush Act, reintroduced May the 8th by Rep. Good of Virginia. The Shush Act, by the way, would not decriminalize. Well, I mean, I guess essentially it would take suppressors off the NFA. Yeah. Mm-hmm. There you go. There's a new question on the 4473. He says some new questions. I haven't seen it, but then he says one of the questions is, do you intend to keep this firearm and not resell it, or something to that effect? And my response to that would be, F you. None ya. I'm sorry, that's none ya. None ya damn business. That's it, none ya damn business. That's what it's about. Alaska Independent says, I know my hearing would be a lot better if suppressors weren't NFA restricted. I mean, in Sweden and Scandinavia, if you have a gun, you're required to get a suppressor. You could buy it over the counter down there at a hardware store. That's just called being a good neighbor. That's what that's about. Just being a good neighbor. Oh, dog, what are you doing? My dog has kicked over part of my trash can here. Come here. Oh, got a can on the floor. Okay. They need to ask you if you intend to keep your God-given genitals, because mental health matters. It's a question I'd rather not know the answer to, quite honestly. We are all at risk under this administration. We're at risk under every administration. Trump did us no favors. As much as I know many of you are big Trump supporters and everything else, he did us no favors. I mean, assault, the bump stock ban, he was the one that kind of started the whole wheels on the bus on the arm brace, although Biden finished it up. Trump was moving in that direction. He also said under the red flag laws that we'll just take the guns and worry about due process later. He's a fair weather friend when it comes to firearms. So it's not just this administration. It is any administration. Every administration is adverse to liberty. I'm just saying that, letting you know for a friend. That's how it works. All right, I got Fred standing by. Let's get to it. The Michael Dukes Show. Common sense, liberty-based, free-thinking radio. Here we go.
What the hell's an assault weapon? What isn't? If I assault you with a penguin, doesn't that make it an assault weapon? Does this mean that if we hurt your feelings, you'd consider the Michael Dukes Show assault radio? Okay, we can live with that. Here's Michael Dukes.
Assault penguins are real. Those things are vicious, man. Do not get into a small phone booth with an assault penguin. You will regret it. This thing should be regulated. Absolutely regulated. All right, let's continue on here. We've got one phone line on hold, 319-527-3864. Fred is on the line from Rhode Island, our good friend out there on the East Coast, living in occupied territory. Good morning, Fred. How are things in the People's Republic of Rhode Island?
Well, the sun comes up every morning and sets every night, so I guess it's pretty much business as usual over here for the time.
Okay.
Being, anyway.
I guess that's a positive.
Until someone in the Capitol decides to, screw that up too. I'm sure that they'll find a way. And the reason why I'm calling is, you brought up the thing about the 1934 Gun Control Act there. There's one point that really isn't brought up a lot. The fact that they they put a regulation on, fully automatic weapons, machine guns at the time. They noticed they couldn't outlaw them. They could never outlaw them, but they did put the tax on it. They put, the restrictor tax on it, but they could never outlaw it. Unlike this crap that they're trying to pull off today with the assault weapons ban, they want to get rid of them. That's totally, you talk about a violation, the ultimate violation on the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. That would be it. These people have just thrown the book out the window,
right?
And claiming that they're working in conjunction with what they did back in 1934.
Well, you bring up an interesting.
They've just thrown the whole.
Yeah.
They throw all the rules out the window and say we're going to do what we want to do, and to hell with you and your Constitution and your Bill of Rights.
Well, you bring up an interesting point because there was a lot of debate around this in 1934 for the National Firearms Act, and you bring up a point that was actually brought up by many legislators at the time that you could not restrict Americans' rights to own firearms. They understood that. They understood you couldn't outlaw machine guns, suppressors, short-barreled rifles because Congress did not have the authority. That was the actual verbiage that they were talking about in the discussions. Congress did not have the authority. So they asked the question, what does Congress have the authority to do? They have the authority to tax. And so that's why they did that. Congress did not have the authority to remove an inalienable right, to ban it, but they could make it so restrictive. Now, again, I was talking about the $5 shotgun and the $200 tax stamp. That was U.S. v. Miller. That was the court case where that went all the way to the Supreme Court that decided that the NFA was constitutional, which I think Miller never showed up, by the way. Miller never showed up. His lawyers didn't show up. It was basically only the government arguing before the Supreme Court, which is just a tragedy in and of itself. But again, the issue was Miller had a $5 Sears and Roebuck shotgun that had been cut down below 26 inches. That was the court case that decided it. But you have a $5 shotgun with a $200 tax stamp. If you extrapolated that out to today and just said a shotgun cost $500, that's a 100% right? $500. It was a $5 shotgun. Now it's $500. So if you extrapolated out the cost of that, if they tried to enact an NFA style tax today, your $500 shotgun would cost $20,000 in a tax stamp. That's an abrogation of the under how Bruin reads, that would be an abrogation. But they couldn't take the right away, Fred. You are 100% right. They knew it. It's why they removed handguns, because they knew that was a bridge too far. The American people wouldn't stand for it, or they just blatantly ignore it. So they did the one thing they could do, the one thing they had the authority to do. They taxed it.
That's right. You're absolutely right. And they pull this off. It's like you said, it's hackerama. Like this woman down there, and down in Florida, who claims to be a journalist, and this whole he probably doesn't even exist. It's probably just fictional. Some real jerk. Put the whole thing together, and just made up a name and an agenda, and threw it out there because they're sitting there and they're doing Biden's dastardly campaigning. Especially, as closer we get to the election, the more heated this is going to become, obviously. But, like you say, guns are about as much the cause of crime as matches are the cause of arson, and automobiles are the cause of, traffic fatality, is what it boils down to. Nobody points to the real common denominator, which is the person who violates, breaks the law with the tool. The tool doesn't do the
right
problem. The individual using the tool is the problem. But they definitely don't want to go there. They definitely don't want to address the criminal act and penalize accordingly. They just sooner blame the tool and go after the law-abiding citizen. Because they don't want to upset some ethnic minority, and make it look bad for them, and they're going, you don't want to go down that road. They just throw the Constitution and the Bill of Rights out the window and just go after law-abiding people, and try and press it that way, which is a crime in its own right. You can see how underhanded these people really are. I mean, they're just kind of, they're cutting their own throat.
Well, again, it's about.
I'm just going to sit back and watch that show.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's about control, right?
Do it themselves fine.
It's about control, right, Fred? I mean, this is about nothing more than control, controlling people, controlling the population, taking your ability out of your hands to resist any change that they may deem necessary from their political, ivory tower. We know better than you how you should do it, and the only reason we're not doing it is because you may resist sometime in the future.
Well, like I said, that's going to come back and bite them, and it should. It definitely should get them. And like I said before, they got to find the orchestrators, the architects and the orchestrators of these issues, and drag them out into the public. We got to know who they are, and then you can sit there and you know who to blame.
Well, and
really know who to go after.
I mean, I guess we could drag them out. I mean, we kind of know who the people are, whether it's the politicians.
You have to have solid, 100% solid evidence.
But
they're doing this.
Here's the thing, Fred. I don't even know if we actually need that. What we need to do is educate more Americans on their rights, their duties, on what they need to do, because that's what's going to stop it. Not drawing the creatures out into the light of the sun and exposing them, because you'd have to reform the entire news media outlet organization and everything else. All we can do is person to person, small news outlets, radio shows like this, educate people on what their rights and their duties and their responsibilities are, point out the fallacies that are being portrayed out there, and get more. I mean, again, a COVID or a George Floyd thing where all 8 million new gun owners popped up, and a lot of them were not conservative, average Bible-thumping, gun-toting citizens. They were more liberal. That's what's going to save us from this, is more people coming to understand that it's an individual responsibility and right to protect yourself.
Right, you're right. Well, like I say, they gotta sit there and expose the lies, and nothing. Be able to distinguish the lies from the truth. That shades of gray in there is where you kind of lose the perspective, especially when the silent majority who don't have an opinion one way or the other.
Yeah.
They're going to make the difference in the long run when it comes down to push comes to shove on this whole thing.
Fred,
I think that you have to have equal time and equal opportunity to basically get to the facts and the truth rather than the BS and the political agenda. And it is a political agenda.
Oh, it is.
Political agenda from day one.
Yeah, no, it absolutely is. I mean, again, Fred, it's about control. That's really what it's all about. It's about control. I'm up against the break. Fred, hold the line. Folks, back with more of The Michael Duke Show. Fred, I'm sorry, I was up against a hard break there. Let me just give you the floor here for your final thoughts for today here.
Okay. Well, like I say, it's been a political agenda from day one. They came up with this a long time ago, either Clinton or before Clinton's time, even before he came on the scene. That they came up with this gun control. More gun control. Will reduce the crime rate, which we know that's a joke. But that never worked and never will work, because once again, it's not the tool, it's the individual. The Justice Department would sharpen their stick a little more and use it accordingly. We wouldn't have half the problems we had.
But the Justice Department, the problem is that
more in tune to just going after.
Yeah, the problem is the Justice Department is part of the problem. I mean, they are the ones that are going after ATF is under the Justice Department. They're now actively going after private citizens who are selling their guns. If you make any kind of profit, you're an FFL now. And if you do it without a license, you're going to jail. I mean, the feds are prosecuting people for certain things. Not, for the laws that are already in the books, they're not prosecuting people for straw purchases or lying on their 4473s, unless you're Hunter Biden, I guess. But I mean, the Justice Department is part of the problem, part of the mechanism. That is, again, this has to be something that's grassroots. We have to educate our neighbors, our friends, our relatives, our coworkers on their rights and responsibilities, and why owning a firearm is not only a good idea, it is vital to the security of freedom and the nation in the future.
Absolutely right. spot on, Mike.
All right. Well, Fred, as always, my friend, it's great to hear from you. Thank you for calling in this morning. We appreciate you being part of it.
Okay, you take care. Have a good weekend.
You bet. Have a good weekend. All right. Fred joining us from Rhode Island there. Thank you, Fred. We appreciate it. Okay, phone lines are open. 319-527-3864. 319-527-3864. If you'd like to sound off here. Alaska Independent says, exactly, firearms ownership is necessary for a free state. As I've said many times, the Second Amendment, and I'm quoting old Chuck Heston here, the Second Amendment in order of importance is the First Amendment. It's the one right that allows all the other rights to exist at all. The Second Amendment is an implicit threat, not an overt threat. It's implied, right? We're not marching down the street, waving ARs above our heads and chanting, liberty or death or what. I mean, we're not doing that. It is the quiet, implicit threat that politicians know they can go so far and no farther because people will ignore it. And if they try to send jackbooted thuggery your way, you will resist. Right? I mean, there's a lot of people that scoff and poo-poo about, people are never going to take on the government. They're never going to. Well, it has happened. It has. Remember the standoff with the cattle rancher down there in I forgot what state it was in now. Was that literally the BLM showed up, the Bureau of Land Management, not Black Lives Matter, but the BLM showed up with armed guys and SWAT teams and everything else, and they were faced off with about 300 armed Americans who said no. It has happened, and they backed down. But again, the Second Amendment is not meant to be an overt threat. We're not threatening people directly. We're saying we have the right to resist, and we have the ability to resist. The Bundy Ranch, Nevada. Thank you. Clive and Bundy. That's who it was. Clive and Bundy. We have the ability. That is the implicit threat. And then, yeah, you had the Fickham one in Oregon too. Although that, again, those are just modern day examples. I mean, you could talk about the Athens, Georgia, the voting thing, the Battle of Athens. It happens. It's happened across this country many times. Armed citizens standing for what is right and resisting government tyranny. The Battle of Athens, Georgia is one that is, that's real. You got the Deacons for Defense who are defending the black civil rights leaders against the Ku Klux Klan and the state patrols, the state troopers in parts of the country. I mean, that is the importance of the Second Amendment that people forget about. It is just a quiet, implicit check on government. So it is necessary for a free state. Yeah, and then Clive and Bundy went on to win his case in the courts after it was all said and done. So you can make a difference. And the only reason that you can make a difference is because you are armed and have the ability to protect yourself against criminals, footpaths, ne'er-do-wells, and an overreaching government. The founders talked about this. The framers talked about this specifically, that it was an implied check on government and held it at bay. I mean, again, going back to the 1934 NFA, the National Firearms Act, they were going to try and put handguns in there, but they realized that was a bridge too far, and people would ignore the law entirely. Because what's happened with like the New York SAFE Act, with the assault weapons, they've had a compliance rate of what? 4% or something? The same thing in Connecticut? people will ignore those laws. All right, we got to go. The Michael Duke Show.
Whoa, buddy. Put that thing back in its holster. We haven't gone anywhere.
I don't understand.
Check out the MichaelDukesShow.com for information on how to get access to the podcast.
The Michael Duke Show.
I have 2 guns, one for each of you.
Firearms Friday.
As Thomas Jefferson stated, it is the right and duty of the people to be at all times armed.
Say hello to my little friend.
I say that the Second Amendment is, in order of importance, the First Amendment. The right to keep and bear arms is the one right that allows rights to exist at all.
The Michael Duke Show. The right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Firearms.
From my cold, dead hands.
Friday.
It's my rifle, this is my gun, this is for fighting, it's for fun.
Firearms Friday.
Firearms Friday, that one day a week where we get a chance to dive down into issues related to the Second Amendment, gun rights, gun laws, firearms issues, tips, tricks, tactics, demystifying the firearm and counteracting the mainstream narrative and stupidity that we see continuously coming from talking heads on every network that you could possibly name. Everywhere. I don't care. I still am mad at Greg Jarrett at Fox News, who got on the air after the shooting at Sutherland Springs in Texas. I don't remember if you remember that. I think that was back in, I don't even remember when that was now. When was the Sutherland Springs shooting, church shooting? When was that? That was back in 2017. 2017. I got so heated when Greg Jarrett from Fox News got up and basically said, well, you know, these AR-15s and they've got a button on them that you just push them and they become automatic weapons. And I'm just like, this is one of the talking heads that is supposedly that I mean, it is just, it's insane. Absolutely insane. But that's what we're trying to counteract. We're trying to counteract the things that make no sense, but are taken as gospel by millions of American citizens each and every day. I mean, you're being lied to. You're being lied to. We spent a big segment last hour talking about this article that came out. I'm not going to belabor it, but I'll just read you the headline again from Scripps News. Scripps News is a service similar to AP. Many newspapers and news media outlets around the country, they source their materials from AP and Scripps, and put them in their newspapers or on their websites or whatever. Anyway, Scripps News, an article by a gal named Jennifer Glenfield. Sorry for assuming your gender. Saying, why are there fewer federal gun control laws today than before? It is a lie. There are more gun control laws today than there were last year, the year before. If you go back 40 years, much before, if you go back 90 years, the entire framework of modern American gun control was put into place 90 years ago. You know, you used to be able to go into the back of Boy's Life, the magazine, and order a Solithern. You could buy a Solithern, which is a recoilless anti-tank rifle, 20 millimeter, a Lottie or a Solithern. You could buy it and have it shipped to your house. Came in a big wooden crate. You could buy a Thompson machine gun. Prior to 1930, you could just send in your money, and it would show up at your house. There are more laws today than ever. But the news media continues to lie. Why are there fewer federal gun control laws today than before? They're not. And the worst part is they do it under the auspices of journalism when it is nothing more than advocacy. It's activism, not even good activism. I call it hacktivism because you're a hack. You're not even pretending to be non-biased at that point. Makes no sense whatsoever. Okay, we'll get off that topic here this morning. We'll just get down off that. Coming up, I guess my housekeeping for this hour. If you're just joining us, welcome to the program. Happy, TGIFF. Thank goodness it's Firearms Friday. But happy Friday to you. Thank you for coming on board and joining us. A big special announcement today after the show at 8:04 a.m. For those of you who are up in the interior or listening in Anchorage or Matsu or Wasilla and even down parts of the Kenai, we will be broadcasting the Alaska radio auction. The spring radio auction kicks off at 8:04 a.m. And that's the auction. Remember, we do it twice a year at alaskaradioauction.com. We go out to businesses across the state and we collect items and services and certificates from all of these different businesses. And then we auction them off to you, the listeners, for basically 50, 60 cents on the dollar. And you could say, like, what big ticket items? What do I got for big ticket items? The Alaska Wildlife Conservation Center, if you want to do the Walk on the Wild Side tour. We've got some food tours of downtown Anchorage. We've got jewelry up in Fairbanks. We've got Bear Creek lodging at Bear Creek Winery down in Homer. We've got a whole slew of equipment from Craig Taylor Equipment in Fairbanks, steel equipment. Chainsaws and trimmers and power washers. We've got auto starts. We've got stays at the Salmon Catcher Lodge where you can go fishing and do stuff. There's septic system. Those are just the big ticket items. And a couple boats. One from Dewey's Cook Inlet. They've got a skiff. And then Compos has got a 2021 Hughes Craft up for auction. And you could save half price on it. I mean, it's brand new. There's a whole bunch of stuff. Anyway, that's kicking off at 8:04 a.m. if you're listening in Fairbanks or Anchorage or part of because our signal down there in Anchorage reaches down into the part of Kenai. Or you could just keep listening at my live stream at michaeldukeshow.com. Just go to the audio only live stream, and I'm just going to leave the live stream running between the show and the auction, and you can listen on there, or you could just go to alaskaradioauction.com and check out all the stuff right now. Everything's up and loaded, but the site is not live, and it won't go live until 8 a.m. And then there's a lot of buy it now, restaurant certificates, hotel stays, canoe paddling, riverboat discovery, Stan Stevens cruises, Phillips Glacier cruises, all kinds of stuff. It's a ton of stuff. 8:04 is when I kick off. Site goes live at 8. AlaskaRadioAuction.com. All right, that's my housekeeping for this morning. What else do I got? We talked about that. We keep talking about how if we only had laws like they have in Australia, if we only had laws like they have in the UK, we would be a utopian society. It would be fine. Now, not only can you go back and watch the YouTube video from a channel called Amidst the Noise, which totally debunks the UK is much safer than the US, because he shows a statistical 1,800% increase in violent crime in England, including with knives and other tools after they ban guns. There's a whole video on that. I mean, it's like 8 or 9 years old, but it's still an awesome video. Amidst the Noise is the name of the channel. You can go out there and look at it, but it's still not working today. I mean, you'd think if gun controls laws worked, they definitely work in the UK. It's an island. There's only one point of access that isn't on a plane or a boat. It's at the other end of a tunnel that goes to a continent that's full of gun-controlled nations. You'd think that there would be no guns. But somehow the guns keep showing up. and they are. It's just is it shocking? Is it really shocking that the guns keep showing up? I mean, not really, because criminals, by their very definition, right? I mean, break the law, the whole thing, all that stuff. Well, in the UK, it's proven out even more. Just this last week, a woman was injured in what appears to be a drive-by shooting. What appears to be a drive-by shooting. Footage emerged of a 38-year-old woman being shot in the leg after she was allegedly caught in the crossfire of a shooting between cars on a North London street. CCTV footage shows a stream of vehicles driving on a busy Stamford Hill in North London with a woman walking along the pavement. Moments later, two cars drive past at speed and the woman is seen dropping to the ground. Armed police were called because not all cops are armed, so they had to call the armed police unit. And on Tuesday, after she was injured, they're trying to establish the circumstances of the incidents. No arrests have been made. She's believed to have been caught between two vehicles which were firing guns at each other. Witnesses claimed one of the cars drove towards nearby Clapton Common, where two more shots were heard. Impossible! Impossible! It couldn't possibly happen. That just doesn't happen in England. They have gun control. It can't possibly. And now, of course, you see what they're doing with the knives. They want even stricter knife control. I mean, chefs are going to have to get all their butcher knives in their sushi chefs. You're going to have to get them all registered, and you're going to have to account for them. You better not have Swiss Army knives. Swiss Army knives are going to be, you can't make this stuff up. They will become a nation of sheep. I mean, it's already happening. It's already, it's already there. It's already there. All right. Look at that. TopShot Chris Cheng is in the house. He's hanging out down in Dallas. He's at the NRA National Convention down there. And I'm going to go to break early because I want to come back to him. So we're going to take a quick break. We're going to be back in just a minute. Don't go anywhere. The Michael Duke Show. Common sense, liberty-based, free-thinking radio. Like, share, subscribe, come out on YouTube, do all that stuff. Facebook. Let's go. I want to get back. Chris Cheng, hurry up with this commercial break. Listen to it quickly. The faster you listen, the faster we get back. That's what's happening. It's Firearms Friday. Back with more after this.
Streaming live every weekday morning on Facebook Live and MichaelDukesShow.com.
Okay, man, I have so many more stories that it's just there's not enough hours in the day to get through all this stuff. It's amazing. All right, let's bring on the man, the myth, the legend, Chris Cheng, Top Shot champion, season 4. Hello, my friend. How are you?
Hey, good morning. Doing great here in Dallas, Texas.
Man, I got to tell you, that kind of feels like freedom down there, doesn't it? Does it make you double? Do you stroke your chin and think San Francisco or Texas? I mean, do you think? I know a lot of your cohorts have done that. I've got several friends who have moved out of sunny CA and said, "No, we're headed." And several people that I follow professionally have done the same thing. Who just said, "I had to get out. It was madness." I mean, especially San Francisco, especially with the leave all your car windows open and your tailgates open so they don't break into your car because we couldn't possibly punish people.
As much as some parts of San Francisco are intolerable, I will say though it's a great place to live. However, a big pro for Dallas was last night. I had an incredible first time new item for me, which was a chicken fried ribeye steak.
Oh God!
Which some people would think is sacrilegious, but I got to tell you, ribeye and you chicken fry with the gravy. Oh my Lord, that was life changing. So
I mean, I think the California legislature has already outlawed that. You can't.
They're gonna be like, no,
it's not good for you, Chris, and they know better than you what's good for you. That's what's going on down there. No more chicken fried ribeye steaks for you.
But we're having a great time here in Dallas. Yeah, the NRA annual meetings, they just started an hour and 20 minutes ago. So, we're going to expect a very healthy crowd this weekend. President, Trump is going to be speaking tomorrow, which is clearly going to be a big draw. And there's no shortage of drama here in Dallas with the kind of ongoing, court case about the NRA. So there's a lot of members of the board who are looking to reform. What's happening here at the NRA, and we need it.
I had a short conversation with Jeff Knox the other day, who's up for the board. They're going to be confirming board members and doing all that stuff right down there as they go through. This is going to be, so there's going to be some changes. Hopefully, we're hoping in the NRA, and we'll see what comes out of that. It is. It should be an exciting thing. So we'll let you get to that here when we get back on the air. You could tell us about that. I'm really excited to hear about how the WTTA, the Walk the Talk America fundraiser went. So I want to talk about that as well.
I'm excited to chat about that too.
What else are you doing? Are you doing anything fun? I mean, outside of the NRA convention, you doing anything fun while you're in Dallas?
Let's see. I mean, no. I mean, it's all fun. I'm going to, if you know the Pew Pew Jew. He's having me and a few friends. Yeah, he's having me and a few friends over. He lives here in Dallas, and we're having a Sabbath dinner tonight. So
that's fantastic. Would you do me a favor? Can I press our friendship and ask you to give him my contact information?
Absolutely.
I've been wanting to have him on the program, and I've actually reached out several times to Coleon Noir. So if you see him, would you also give him my contact information and say this little podunk Alaska radio show would love to talk to you for a segment in the morning? I would love to talk to both of them.
Very good. I shall connect you.
Yeah, that's great. Somebody in the chat room just said the audio is screwed up. All my audio is running fine. I can hear Chris. So let's just say I'll just tell them to try
refresh their browser, maybe. Yeah, the internet at my hotel I'm in is a little wonky. It might be on my end, but I don't know if you're hearing me okay.
No, you're sounding great. You sound great. So it'll be fine. Don't sweat it. Don't sweat the small stuff, my friend. All right. So I hope you Brazilian taqueria. Have you you've eaten Brazilian the barbecue, right? You know what I'm talking about?
Churrasco.
Yeah.
Churrasco or yes, but I love Brazilian meat.
I always try and suss one of those out whenever I'm in another town because, man, meat, just different meat.
And Brazilians do it well.
Oh, man, they do it well. All right, hold the line. Here we go. We're 5 seconds out. 12 seconds out. Chris Cheng, Top Shot champion, author of the book Shoot to Win. Find him at TopShotChris.com. We've got to get back to it. Let's do it. The Michael Dukes Show. Common sense, liberty-based, free thinking radio. Like, share, subscribe.
What the hell's an assault weapon? What isn't? If I assault you with a penguin, doesn't that make it an assault weapon? Does this mean that if we hurt your feelings, you'd consider the Michael Dukes Show assault radio? Okay, we can live with that. Here's Michael Dukes.
I told you, Chris. Those penguins, man, they are vicious. Do not get trapped in a phone booth with an assault penguin. They will mess you up. Okay, I'm just saying. Personal experience. It's a bad deal. Chris Cheng, Top Shot champion, season 4 of the show Top Shot, author of the book Shoot to Win, spokesperson for the National Shooting Sports Foundation, founder of the Asian American Pacific Gunners Association, spokesperson and working with Walk the Talk America. I'm tired, man. It's like rolling the scroll out, the pedigree. You got a lot of stuff going on, my friend.
Indeed, no shortage of things that, for me, I'm not only passionate about, but I'm very, proud and honored to be a part of lots of different components and organizations in the Second Amendment community. And yeah, I don't know. I love the people, and I love fighting for freedom and for liberty. And, there's a lot of people who do not want us to have our Second Amendment rights, and they'd rather have us be restricted and legislated to death. It's just, and the only way that we have to fight against that if we're truly going to continue to live in a free country.
Absolutely. I mean, we've said it. The Second Amendment is the it is the only thing that has kept America as free as it is. Even with the warts and blisters and boils and problems we have in today's society, we're still one of the freest nations on the earth. And the only reason we've remained as free as we have over the last 245 years is because the people being armed has held the government, not overtly. We're not marching in the streets shaking AR-15s and threatening to burn down the world, but just that quiet threat of you can only go so far and push them into a corner before they will react. It's the implied threat of an armed citizenry saying this far and no farther. That's what it's about. And people have to understand that. And we're seeing that. I mean, we were just talking about the New York State assault weapons ban, the Connecticut assault weapons ban. Now we're finding out about the Illinois assault weapons ban. The compliance rate on these laws is in the single digits, like 4%, 2.5%, 6%. It's because people are just like, no, I'm not going to comply with these laws that make no sense. And I think politicians, they know that, and that's why we're still as free as we are today. All right, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to sidebar there. You're down in Dallas at the NRA convention. Lots of stuff happening. Of course, the court case is still going on. There's still lots of turmoil. We've had a lot of new nominations for board members. We're going to talk to Jeff Knox in the next couple weeks about his move to the board. What are you expecting to see here in Dallas? What do you hope to see out of this?
Yeah, it's I've been here since Wednesday, and I'm on the NRA outreach committee, and have been talking to a lot of members of the board as we get into this weekend. And there are a lot of meetings that the board of directors are having, and like millions of NRA members, I want the NRA to fix this. Right, we need to get our house in order. We need to figure out who are the right people to lead us into this next chapter of the NRA. The membership ranks have dwindled, right? We need to have we need to hit the reset button, and it's up to the board of directors to make those decisions. They're having some very difficult conversations, and essentially, you have folks who kind of want to keep things going the way they were going, and then you have reformers. And NRA members just elected a pretty strong slate of reform board members, and so that these new board members are definitely having an impact. I mean, I've been hearing board members talk about
Right.
Hey, is there a critical mass of directors who might actually vote for real change, quote unquote. Some members think directors think that this is the time. So, meetings go through Tuesday, maybe even as late as Wednesday. And, members like me and everyone else, we're anxiously waiting to hear what the decisions are and exactly who is going to lead the NRA, right, on a more permanent basis. And what's the direction that we're going to go in. So, I mean, we need a strong NRA. I mean, there's just no question about it. And this is a problem for us to fix. And if we don't fix it, the New York Attorney General and the courts may come in and fix this for us. So this is our chance to really clean up our own mess and find a way forward.
Well, and this is, I mean, for all of those directors and board members who are like, we just want to continue on business as usual, you can't, because something is going to change. Either we are going to change ourselves, or, and I include myself, even though I've let my membership lapse because I was so upset about everything that was happening. I didn't buy a life membership. I was giving them money every year. And when it just got old, and we could see what was going on. And a lot of members have been upset about that. And our money went elsewhere. And that's why you're seeing this declining enrollment in this membership. They can't continue business as usual. The reformers have to make this difference, because otherwise, and I've said for the last 5 years, the NRA membership at the local level, the state boards, the state people running the dinners and they're 100% golden. I will donate my time. I will do whatever I can do to help those people, but I will not do anything for the national level folks, because it seems like, and it's been proven out now, that they were in it for themselves. And that's part of the problem. We've got to fix this.
Absolutely. So I'm hopeful that we will see a new direction, for the NRA after this week's annual meetings. And I'm optimistic, but we'll just have to wait and see what happens.
Well, hopefully we get good news back from you next time we talk to you, Chris, and you'll give us some good information. And we hope to reach out again. We're going to be talking with Jeff Knox here in the next couple of weeks, who's a one of the reformers that you're talking about, and hopefully we can get some more info on that as we go through. We talked about it not last week, but the week before. We were running the Walk the Talk America, which is an organization dedicated to gun rights, but also gun rights through the lens of mental health, that there is mental health problems in America and it shouldn't be just ignored. And if we're going to fix this problem, we need to get mental health help for people who need it, gun owners included, and not stigmatize them and do that. So Walk the Talk America had a fundraiser. You were matching $5,000 for the first $5,000 that you saw matching through there. I'm assuming you're $5,000 poorer today than you were 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, I never have I ever thought that. I'm happy to say that I'm $5,000 poorer. And so, I issued this $100,000 fundraising challenge to the firearms community and the firearms industry. And we wanted to raise $100,000 within 8 days. And I'm very happy to say that we beat that goal. And we raised $105,500. And it was a great mix of both individual donors. I matched individual donations of $1,000 or less. And we had lots of individual donors, but we also had a number of corporate donors that really helped, propel us over the finish line. Ruger came in for $25,000. Ruger is iconic, right, for the Ruger 1022.
Absolutely.
The Mark IV, 1, 2, 3, 4, platform for pistol. Davidson's, Lipsy's, these are major distributors. They came in for $30,000 and $25,000 each. Arms Corps came in for $5,000, and then we had a number of other donations as well. And so for me, this was the first of its kind fundraiser, right? Mental health for gun owners, and I'm really pleased to see the response that came and the success, right, that we had in this fundraiser. And Walk the Talk America, like any nonprofit, they need the funds. Mike Sodini, who is the founder and president of Walk the Talk America, I mean, this is his full-time job, right? It's his full-time job trying to run Walk the Talk America, and he needs a salary, right? And they also need operating money to keep the programming that they have going. And so this $105,000 that we raise is really going to make a huge difference for Walk the Talk, and in turn, it's going to make a huge difference for gun owners who need mental health services, and also for mental health practitioners who really need this training on firearms, cultural competency, and to help mental health practitioners understand these sensitivities around the Second Amendment and how, hey, right, if I'm a gun owner and I want to talk to you as a mental health practitioner, don't put up this barrier, right? That makes me afraid that you might, you, the mental health practitioner, might take my guns away. So Walk the Talk, they're doing incredible work. Thank you to everybody who donated, and thank you, Michael, for having me on the show a few weeks ago to help get the word out about the fundraiser. And I hope we get to do this again next May, when it's May's Mental Health Awareness Month again.
Yeah, no, I hope so. I mean, and I was happy to have you on. I donated. I saw some of the listeners donated after we talked about it. It's important. I mean, we can't just pay lip service to the fact that many of the shootings and things that happen in America that we see, especially some of these big ones, that all revolves around mental health. It's not the firearm. It's the person who is mentally disturbed, has a condition, doesn't get it fixed, that's part of the problem there. And then, of course, we've got the issue of, many veterans or things coming home from overseas who are suffering from things like PTSD and other things that don't want to talk to people because, again, they're competent. They just don't want to lose their firearms rights, but they want to have help with their problems. And if we can't get a grip on this, it's a failure of the gun community, in my opinion. If we don't step up on this.
Exactly right. So after all these mass shootings, right, there's people like me and other gun owners who say, "Oh, it's a mental health problem," which it clearly is. And for me, supporting Walk the Talk America is a way that we address the mental health issue and crisis that we have in our country. And so instead of just talking about mental health, let's actually do something about it. And thank you again to all the listeners and supporters of the $100,000 fundraising campaign for Walk the Talk America. We crushed the goal, and we're going to continue to make a big positive difference in our country by helping those in need and get them the mental health services that will help them get better.
You can find him at WTTA.org, Walk the Talk America, if you want to continue. I'm sure you could still donate, not to that fundraiser, but you could still donate to them and help out, get the resources you need. Chris Cheng, Top Shot champion. You can find him at TopShotChris.com. His book is called Shoot to Win. You're working on another one, though, right, too?
I got another book coming up. Yeah, going to be on U.S. military history and specifically on Asian Americans and their place in U.S. military history. It's going to be great.
Yeah, no, I can't wait to read that as well. Chris Cheng, Top Shot champion. Thank you, my friends. Good to talk with you. We will catch you in next month. Hold the line for just a second. Folks, we're out of time. The Michael Duke Show. All right, Chris. Well, I appreciate you carrying my greetings to the Pew Pew Jew and Coleon.
Yes.
If you can, if you can, great. I'd appreciate it. I know that I'm just some little podunk thing here in Alaska, but we sure love watching these guys. I follow the Pew Pew Jew on Twitter, and he is so savage. I just love it.
Yeah, he's spicy.
Oh man, wait, let me look up a list of burn centers in the United States. I mean, he's just like, he's so good. And of course, Coleon is great, and you're fantastic, and just appreciate you coming on every month and sharing that perspective with us up here. You're preaching to the choir. Obviously, Alaska more gunned up than any other state of the nation per capita. We're, we're okay with guns, but we sure do love to hear about the national fight and find ways that we can help.
Indeed, and right, this is going to require everybody's help. The fight for our Second Amendment rights, the fight for our freedom and our liberty, it needs to come from everywhere. And just because you all in Alaska thankfully feel more free, we need you to give us some of your confidence and your freedom. Because if I'm not free in California, then we're all not free on that level, right? We're only as strong as our weakest link. So I need your help. I'd love to have your listeners' support.
It's so weird. It's such a different. I've carried a gun every day of my life since I was 18. I mean, just if I'm there, you could pretty much assume you're not in a gun-free zone. You know what I mean? And that was well before concealed carry. That was well before anything else, just because I felt it was my responsibility. And that's just an attitude that people in the lower 48 go, what? What? I wasn't a criminal. I was just trying to protect myself, my family, those people around me, my loved ones. That's just who I was. And it is a totally different attitude than many places in the lower 48. If we can spread a little bit of that Alaskan, independence and liberty off on you guys, I'm happy to do it. Whatever I can do to help.
Wonderful. We're always welcome to have it.
Yeah. All right, my friend. Well, you enjoy, and give us, if you get any juicy gossip or details, make sure you share that with us, and we'll see you again in about 4 weeks. We'll see you in June.
Very good. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Chris. Good to talk with you as always, my friend. We'll see you later. Chris Cheng, Top Shot champion, season 4 of the show Top Shot. Good stuff. Good stuff. All right. Well, let's see. What do we got? I guess I should change some stuff around in here because Willie's going to be calling in a hot second. So we got to get his colors because he's got his own colors. So it's a fine thing here. All right. Let's get that squared away. I got so many stories that I didn't even get to this morning. We talked about the UK woman. 80,000 people in Illinois have lost their FOID cards. That's their firearm owner identification card. That's the you're required to have it to own firearms. 80,000 people have lost them, but they still have their guns. They've lost them for whatever legal reason or whatever, and they still have their guns. How's that gun control working out for you? Oh, by the way, I forgot to tell you. Chicago and all the other states, all the other cities in the state of Illinois, they routinely find criminals in possessions of firearms who have never had a FOID card in their lives. But I mean, don't worry, that FOID card, that'll stop criminals. Don't worry. 80,000. The police are asking for $10 million to try and tackle a firearms regulation crisis, is what they're calling it. They need to go door knocking to retrieve firearms. Ooh, good luck with that. I don't know. I'm not a police officer. I've never been one. I've known some, and I can't think of anything more scary than trying to go to a gun to try and recover a firearm from somebody who's lost their ability or, whatever, because the government said you don't have your card anymore. I would not want to be. I just, no, that's not a job that I would want. And in fact, that's one of the things that in the New York, in the state legislature, they had the state police chief or the trooper chief or whatever for the state police. And they said, why aren't you going out there and enforcing this SAFE Act with a 4% compliance rate of this, the assault weapons? And he's like, are you kidding me? Are you crazy? I'm not sending my troopers door to door to collect assault weapons. You want to get shot? That's how you get shot. Yeah, it's yeah. Just no. That's not a job that I would want for sure. I can't imagine for police officers that is a very uncomfortable situation. I mean, it's not going to happen. All right. LD says the NRA has capitulated on some key issues and has not fought as fervently as the rest of us patriots. Yeah, I mean, I agree. I'm still pissed about the FOPA. I'm still pissed about the 1986 Firearm Owners Protection Act when the NRA threw Class 3 owners under the bus, NFA owners. That's when they outlawed the manufacture of new or machine guns, where you couldn't buy new. That's when they created the list, and Reagan signed off on it. Yeah, every administration. You should be afraid under every administration. All right, my phone buzzed. It's time to go. He's connected. Let's get to this. The Michael Duke Show. Common sense, liberty-based, free thinking radio. Like, share, subscribe, ring the bell. Yes, the weekend. I can feel it. I can feel it after a full day of work. Oh, God, I've still got a full day of work ahead of me. All right, well, it's okay. At least I can go into it knowing that I have talked to my best friend, Willie Waffle, wafflemovies.com. Hello, my friend. How are you on this fine Friday?
I'm feeling it. I'm feeling Friday. I'm feeling happy. I'm feeling like, oh, yeah, the boss man's off my back for 48 hours. Yeah.
The bad news is Willie's is going to have to sleep because he's got a huge bad cold, and so he's going to spend all weekend in bed. What the heck, man? Come on. The weekend's for living.
I'm near death.
I know.
I'm near death. I'm not going to lie.
This is where you take 2 days off of work and then enjoy the weekend. Come on, man. Get with the program here. That's how it works.
I blew it. I made so many mistakes in my life.
I know how it is. My dog just burst into my studio. Okay, well let's get to it, shall we? Let's dive in and figure out what we got for weekend. Let's start with the entertainment news. I want to save the spinner stuff for last. What you take something else? What do we got?
Okay, so I think I know which one you want to save for last.
Yep.
So we'll rush through a few other things. Yep. Okay, so this was the week when everybody announced what they're doing next, okay? So there's going to be a Roadhouse sequel. That's right. The Jake Gyllenhaal Roadhouse movie that was on Amazon was so darn popular, they claim 50 million viewers watched the movie in some fashion. Amazon didn't really, define what it was, considered to be a viewer. Like, if I watched a minute, did that make me a viewer?
Exactly.
We don't really know. They don't really want to share it, okay? But they said that they are happy enough to where they're bringing back Jake Gyllenhaal. They're going to make a sequel, and they don't know when, but darn it, it's coming someday soon.
Okay, I still haven't watched it. I keep asking Terry, you want to watch it? She goes, no. She goes, I do, but just not right now. And so we've still been putting it off. So we're going to have to watch it. But I heard good things. I mean, it was just a movie. It was just a good popcorn movie,
Yes. And, not the greatest movie, certainly not the classic that the original Roadhouse was. But you know what? just kind of a campy, over-the-top, silly, like you said, popcorn movie where I'm rooting for the good guys. I want the bad guys to get beat up, and I get to see how evil they are along the way.
Yeah, I like that. I mean, I'm fine with that. So sure, make
Yeah.
more movies like that. That's okay. I have no problem with that whatsoever. All right, how about pop culture? I know you're a nerd, and I know you're a game show nerd. Oh my God. But
am.
now what happens when you stick your peanut butter in my chocolate? You get pop culture Jeopardy.
Yeah, I'm not as excited about this one. So this is kind of like a Jeopardy for the rest of us. It's going to be on Amazon Prime.
Wait
right?
a second. Is
Yep,
this
well, yeah.
Jeopardy for the plebes? Is that what you're saying? Are
Yes,
you
that's
being
exactly
snooty?
what it is.
Are you being
That's
snooty?
Yes, I am. Yes, I am. This is going to be okay. It's going to be dumbed down Jeopardy. Okay.
Oh,
This
man.
is, they've telegraphed it, right? Like they've said they're going to have questions focused on movies and music and TV and sports. And okay, that's fine. But that's all the other game shows.
Right.
Like you're just
right,
going to be like
right.
all the other game shows. The reason I love Jeopardy, because yes, I am snooty. And I enjoy the intellectual challenge. And yes, I did try to get on Jeopardy at one time. I'm willing to admit it. I did pretty well on the test, but not well enough. And I enjoy kind of the more intellectual aspects
Right.
of Jeopardy.
Oh, Daddy,
and
did you hear that Jeopardy is doing one for the common people?
Now they don't know who the host is going to be.
Right.
Although I'm putting my money on Pauly Shore. But anyway.
Oh man, that would be a classic if you did that. That would be really playing into that whole this is the idiot's version of Jeopardy. So no host, no release date. All right. Well, we'll keep an eye out for that. We'll make sure that we send it to you on repeat so that you have to watch it all the time.
Yes, thank you.
New Netflix season of Only Murders in the Building. It's continuing. Season 4.
Yes. Season 4 on Hulu. It is a big Hulu show. And Hulu is gearing up for the summer because, they're going to have this merge with Disney Plus at some point. And so this is going to be the return of Only Murders in the Building, Season 4. And now we have a date, August 27th. And they will have new episodes every week thereafter until we get into October. And this is also on the heels. We didn't get a chance to talk about this last week. That The Bear Season 3 is going to be back on June 27th. So they just know what we're looking for, okay? They know what I want to see, baby. I want to see my Only Murders in the Building again. I want to see The Bear again. And now I've got it in my calendar. I've got a little reminder to go bing on that day so I don't miss it.
Don't forget.
And I'm just excited.
I still haven't gotten beyond season 1 of Only Murders. It was good. I don't know. It didn't just snatch me right in as opposed to Death and Other Details, which I was kind of sucked in from the beginning. That turns out not getting another season. Oh, well, but the murder thing, the murder mystery thing is kind of cool. And I definitely love Steve Martin and Martin Short. So not a bad choice. All right, let's move on to the final good piece. This is not good news. This is great news. Nicolas Cage, the unbearable weight of innumerable talent, is now going to be a superhero. Not just Johnny Cage superhero, not just Johnny Flame or Johnny Blaze no, he's going to be a mainstream superhero.
Do you want to say it or do you want me to say it?
You know what? I'll say it. He's going to be Spider-Man Noir. And this is one of those Spider-Verse things, right? An alternate version of Spider-Man.
That's exactly what it is. So this is, again, Amazon Prime Video. They were pumping their stuff all week long, man. They had the PR machine rolling. And yes, they announced that there's going to be a new live action Spider-Man Noir series. Yes, with Nicolas Cage as the 1930s down on his luck private investigator who is living in New York and has to struggle with his past as the city's only superhero.
Right. I mean, and that's a totally different take on Spider-Man. I mean, the noir,
really
the 30s aspect, Nicolas Cage. I mean, but he voiced this character in the Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse cartoon, right? The animated film.
Yeah. And that's how they got him involved. They were like, well, if we're going to do it, why don't we get the guy that, is already known as Spider-Man Noir? And listen, my love for Nicolas Cage.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I think that this is the kind of material that will propel him more into, I think back into more of a mainstream. I think lately he's done a lot of really cool movies, but they're more artsy. They're a little bit out there. They're on the fringes a little bit. This is like, this is like the national treasure,
Right.
Nicolas Cage, that we're going to see
Right.
here.
No, and I'm excited to see that. And it's good to see Nicolas Cage come back in his own. He's doing it. He did the whole Remfield thing, which was just hysterical. And I mean, when he's doing his thing, it is awesome. And I can't wait to see what this is about. Spider-Man noir, I love noir anyway, but a 1930s Spider-Man.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. I'm down with this. When is this coming out?
They don't know yet. That's what Amazon is really good at this.
They're
like,
killing me.
We're doing this. We're not going to tell you when. Well, it's a whole rollout thing. So, let me take you behind the scenes a little bit. This is how promotion of television series and movies go now, right? First we announce that there are rumors that they're talking about it. Then there's the announcement that, we're going to do it, but we don't know when. Then there's going to be a picture of all of them on the set day one to let us know the series is now in production. And then, eventually there'll be a little trailer that gets released. And that will kind of get us teased and excited. And then when we get closer, they'll have yet another announcement of what day it's premiering. So they're just going to drib and drab it out there to try to keep it top of mind for people like you and me who, I'm sorry, we need this in our lives.
Yeah.
We need this Nicolas Cage show.
Well, and this could be fun because it's Spider-Man in the 30s, Great Depression, noir. The whole story of Spider-Man noir is that he eventually ends up fighting Nazis because it's World War II and Norman Osborn, the Goblin, is actually it's a bunch of cool stuff. I am looking forward to seeing this. It can't come soon enough. Let me just say that. All right. Well, I guess we'll move on to the other stuff. You take it in any order you see fit, my friend. You got 3 big ones here in theaters, all of them. Let's get to it.
Yeah, it is kind of other stuff this week, and nothing as exciting as we just got excited there. Yeah, no, it is. I'm sorry, and I'm going to start low. The Strangers Part 1. This is the third in the series, except this is a prequel, and they're promising we're going to get 2 more movies. Now, what they're building to, I don't know, because when you watch this one, it's just like it's like a remake of the first one.
Oh.
That this young couple is stuck in this rural remote cabin after their car breaks down, very suspiciously, by the way.
Right.
And then there's a knock on the door. They're looking for somebody who's not there. And then the crazy costumed masked people terrorize our couple throughout the rest of the night. When I heard they were going to do a prequel, I thought, well, maybe this is going to be the explanation of why these 3 people do this. Nope, we're not going to get that. Maybe the series is going to grow and be something. No, not going to do that. Maybe they'll rely more on the underlying tension and try to kind of get under your skin. No, not going to do that either.
No.
It just becomes a bunch of predictable jump scares and some very pretty people acting very, very woodenly. I'm going half a waffle. The Strangers Part 1.
Oh, okay. My wife will be disappointed. She just watched The Strangers 2 again last weekend or weekend before last. She enjoys the scary movies and she likes watching those occasionally. So, oh well, that's too bad. All right, then that's in theaters. The Stranger Part 1, half a waffle. What's next?
Then we're going to talk about Back to Black, the Amy Winehouse story. For people who don't know the Amy Winehouse story.
Oh, Terry.
And this is going to be
Terry is so mad about this. Terry is so.
Oh, yeah.
She's so mad about this.
She should be.
She's a huge Amy Winehouse fan, and she is so upset. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I just had to throw that out there for her benefit.
Because you're completely right. This is supposed to be the anti-tabloid version of her life. This is not supposed to be about how let's be honest, people who remember Amy Winehouse, we watched her openly battling with drugs, with depression, with bulimia. She died of alcohol poisoning. It's a tragic
Oh, it
ending.
is.
But if you don't know about her life, you're not really going to get that here. This is a movie that is more focused in on like her relationship with her ex-husband. Gee, is that because he gave his permission to let them do the movie
I see.
and gave them a lot of information? Yeah, it really becomes more of a movie about memories than about telling a story.
Right.
And I think that was the disappointing part. I mean, the acting's okay. This Marissa Abela, who's playing Amy Winehouse, hell of a challenge, because you know what? You can't play characters that is that big in life.
It's hard.
Like,
It's hard.
You can't mimic her.
Yeah.
And
No, I
then
mean,
she
Rami
makes them-
Rami
yeah.
Malek did such an amazing job of doing the Freddie Mercury thing. That's a rare kind of thing, to have somebody who can
Yes.
actually imitate somebody down to that kind of point. And this gal, I've seen the rushes, and it just doesn't pull it off.
No, doesn't pull it off. And they made a decision, which in retrospect, I kind of agree with. They had her do her own singing, because she's not going to sing like Amy Winehouse. Having her lip sync like Amy Winehouse is going to be distracting. So they just decided, you just sing the songs. And the whole time I'm hearing the songs, I'm like, yeah, man, Amy Winehouse did a lot better.
Yeah.
And that's why you're only getting 1.5 waffles.
Oh, okay. Well, I think Terry will be pleased. She'll be disappointed on the first one. She'll be pleased with that one. That leaves us down to the last one for the day with about 2.5 minutes left. And this is the in theaters if, not what if, but if as in imaginary friends.
Yep, it's about a young 12-year-old girl. She's living with her dad, played by John Krasinski. Mom, we learned, tragically passed away, and now dad is sick, and she's living with her grandma, and she can kind of see everyone's imaginary friends, and so can her somewhat quirky, fast-talking neighbor, played by Ryan Reynolds. Yeah, I know, a whole different character for him, right?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And so they because they both can see these imaginary friends, they learn that these friends are trying to do everything they can to try to help the kids who have now grown up, the kids that kind of cast them aside.
Right.
Oh, sounds a little bit like Toy Story, doesn't it?
Yeah,
They're out, they're in the closet, they're out of they're not playing with the kids every day anymore. And we find out that their goal in life is they want to try to help those kids. So we've got this kid and Ryan Reynolds trying to join together, trying to help the imaginary friends help their friends. And listen, it looks cool. I like the CGI animated friends, right? They're very colorful, they're very fun, they're very straight from child imagination. Great set of voice actors, right? Steve Carell, George Clooney, Emily Blunt, Matt Damon, and there's so many, many, many more. I can't even name them all. But I think they could have made more of a parallel between the friends and the imaginary friends. Like I'd love to see how their personalities come together more. Like, I'd love to see how, the reason they were friends is because they had this great chemistry. We don't really get that. And we get a lot of Ryan Reynolds, kind of wisecracks. That's okay. We got a lot of emotion. I'm going to be at 2.5 waffles. I think it's solid.
Well, I see the trailers look funny, but, I could probably, again, be another one that I wait for on the streams. All right, Willie Waffle, wafflemovies.com. Thank you, my friend. Get better. We'll talk to you next week.
You got it.
Folks, on Monday, it's Ben Carpenter giving us a session recap. We're out of time. Have a great weekend. We'll see you for the auction up next. All right. I mean, John Krasinski, Ryan Reynolds, all these voice actors, you'd think this thing would be solid freaking gold. And it's a little disappointing to hear it's only 2.5.
Well, I think Krasinski also had a hand in directing and writing this thing.
Right.
And I think he's trying very hard to make it a magical kids movie. And I think that he just needed to spend a little bit more time developing those characters, developing where they're coming from and who they are. There's a lot of focus on the dialogue, and I think that's why the dialogue is passable and at times very entertaining. But there's a difference between writing good dialogue and writing good characters, and really, as a director, inspiring these actors to create those characters. I'm not saying it's bad.
Right.
It's not fantastic. I mean, he did a Quiet Place. Quiet Place was a heck of a lot better than this.
He has done some amazing movies, and he's a good writer. maybe he's trying to branch out into something a little less deep and dark. And well, what 2.5? We'll have to see how it does. That'll be good. What's coming up next week, Willie?
Next week, that would be the Mad Max movie Furiosa.
Furiosa. I can't wait. I still haven't seen the first one. So, I feel like I'm getting old, Willie. Apparently I'm not watching all the hot movies these days, It's just,
I'm telling you, nobody can keep up. It's impossible.
yeah, no, it's one of those things where I keep deciding, do I want to spend 2 hours of what's left of my life doing that or something,
right.
something I know I'm going to enjoy,
I don't want to go out there where there are people.
Yeah, exactly. Why? Well, Terry and I were just talking. I haven't seen a movie in 5 years in the theater. 5 years.
Well, there's a lot of reasons.
Well, yeah, there is. But I'd just rather sit around in my underwear eating popcorn on my own couch, I guess. That's how it works. Don't quote.
Arrest
Don't
you if you do that in the theaters.
Yeah, don't quote me on that. Yeah, well, I know. Ask me how I know. All right, Willie, thank you so much, my friend. It's always great to talk with you, folks. We're done. Ben Carpenter on Monday. Auction up next.
We've shed our terrestrial radio skin, and now we are slimy lizard internet people. It's the Michael Dukes Show.